It's a good question. Clearly, the situation is tight, and you're seeing the effects of that across sectors. It started in the automotive sector most notably, but it is really spreading across other electronic sectors as well, which are the largest consumer of chips. It'll probably take until about 2022 or sometime in 2022 is what our research indicates for this to ease itself out. And that's a function of perhaps three factors. First, supply is hard to add in the chip making business in the short run. These factories take 2-3 years to build and are very expensive, costing billions of dollars. And also the chip users can't quite simply just redesign their products or source the chips from a different plant or fab. So that takes some time. And so we'll have to wait till some of the demand stabilizes. As you've seen, the pandemic induced a surge in buying of devices such as phones and laptops and so on and so forth, gaming devices. So hopefully we'll see some of that stabilizing, as well as some of the practices that exacerbated the shortage, which was inventory stockpiling by some manufacturers and double booking of fab capacity and so forth ease out as well. So we think sometime in 2022 is when we'll start to see this play out and get back to some level of normalcy.
Walk me through how you see this in terms of national strategies. Obviously, the United States has been quite behind up till now, really, in terms of addressing this and attacking this, obviously because there has to be generally a bipartisan approach. Are they doing what they need to finally, in your view?
It's a very, very important topic in many circles. If you take the broader view here, electronics have become indispensable to our everyday lives. Chips are at the heart of those electronics. And there's a relatively small number of companies, some household names, others less so, that are central to that ecosystem. And what countries have realized in regions such as the EU is the strategic importance of semiconductors as an industry going forward, both for economic prosperity, but also for security reasons, that you don't want to be overly reliant on other countries, as you've seen again with this shortage. It's really crippled production in some sectors. And that's what is spurring all of this. Now, the US Senate obviously authorized something north of $50 billion, which is a lot of money, except semiconductors tends to be a very, very capital intensive sector. So I think it will do a couple of things. The first is it sends a strong message that the US absolutely wants to play in this space and ramp up its play in the space, if you will, over time. And it gives companies which are making really big capital commitments over the long term more confidence in making those commitments. And so I think you will see some impact from that, even though $50 billion in the context of semiconductors is a relatively modest amount.
What will end the shortage? Is it simply a case of manufacturers making more chips?
There has been a long-term trend, as you well know, of more and more chips in the products that we use. The typical automobile uses a few $100s worth of chips. And capacity takes, as I mentioned earlier, 2-3 years to come on. So some capacity is already being built. So more capacity will come on. Manufacturers will do everything they can to eke out the maximum they can from the capacity they now have, perhaps try some extension or expanding capacity and so forth. Most of these and the users of these chips will do some redesign or design tweaks, sometimes drop some features, so on and so forth. All of that typically takes of the order of months, 6, 9, 12 months. So that will all play out over the next year. And it remains to be seen again whether the demand surge from the pandemic or post-pandemic buying also abates or it continues. So there are still some unknowns, but we think sometime next year is when this all starts to balance out.